Today here we've got Jake, our Murray-Darling carpet python, who's appeared in a couple of our lives at the moment. I don't tell anybody else, but he might be a bit of a favourite at the moment. But today I was going to film our bonus video for tomorrow, Monday morning Australian time, Sunday night across the ponds. But it is so windy outside, I couldn't film one. And if I was going to do one inside, I thought, you know what, maybe I'll hop on, I'll do a live stream, we'll get to have a chat to everybody and do a couple of overdue shout outs. So what we're going to talk about today is some of the other YouTubers that I watch, that I enjoy, people who have influenced me, this kind of thing. But before we get going, I do have a couple of shout outs. So the first one is we have, since the other week when I put out a bit of a call that, you know, we're essentially out of displays. The way that we feed our animals and keep everything going here at Wicked Wildlife is displays. We take our animals to schools and birthday parties and kindergartens and agricultural shows, and all that is cancelled at the moment. So we have 150 animals and not much of an income. So we put forward to you guys that, you know, Patreon is what's keeping us going at the moment, and you guys reacted. So I'd like to put a thanks to Jude McKenzie, Claire McCarthy, Lodi Green, Michael Duggan, John Wheeler, and Ike Lucan. You guys have almost doubled our Patreon supporter base ever since the coronavirus started. So, we got a snake making a getaway. Oh, it's all happening here today. Jeez. So, since I put out that we need a bit of help to keep things going, you guys have, you know, done a lot of help. So thanks to those, 6 people. But we could do with a lot more. Once all this ends, that's not going to waste. What we normally use that Patreon assistance for is what helps us get out and about. So I don't know if you guys have seen, we've got some comments coming in already maybe. I don't know if you guys have seen our videos with the Southern Hare-Nosed Wombat this week, the koala videos, we've got flying fox videos. They're all done on a road trip we made to Adelaide, and we've got a couple of other road trips to other facilities once isolation's over, and that's where that money goes towards when, you know, we're not really needing it, just to keep ourselves fed and warm and happy. So thank you for that. And I do have 2 more shout outs. I've got Mara Daniela, somebody who follows us on Facebook, who's only a young girl who enjoys our videos and has been watching them while we're learning online. And she has shaken a tin around her friends and raised $50 for us. Now, that $50 is probably going to cover about a month's worth of wombat food. So thank you very much, Mara. Your mum told me you love our wombats, and I will send you a photo of Boo with her new bag of wombat food for the month. And the last one is to Dingo Dinkleman, who's a good mate of mine. He runs another big YouTube channel that you might have seen before, and he was kind enough to give us a shout out on one of his live streams about 2 weeks ago, which has helped us get ever so closer to our big goal of 10,000 subscribers. We're 9,000 today. So I've got 1,000 to go to reach my goal of getting 10,000 subscribers by my 30th birthday on the 28th of June, which we're tracking to miss out by about 2 weeks. So if you want to help us out, share that around. Get us to 10,000 subscribers by my 30th birthday. It would be fantastic. But we'll tackle a couple of comments and then we'll jump into the topic for the day. Cole Schramm, g'day mate, how you going? Ken Dunn, Australia Wild, g'day mate. G'day Shannon Phillips, how is everybody? You guys are local, you'd know how cold and miserable it is today. Nice live necklace, yeah. When I started, there was a heap of pictures behind me and they're everywhere. Jake is one of my favourites, but he doesn't sit still very well. Yeah, this fella's a carpet python. He's a Murray-Darling carpet python. We do have a Stimson's python, Mr. Spots, out in the reptile shed, which is nice and warm out there, nice and warm in here, but it's cold and miserable between here and the shed, which is why we're doing it in the house today. And other than some stick insects, we don't keep any wild animals in the house. We've just got our 2 cats wandering around. Do I actually own that dingo from my video openings? Yeah. Yeah, his name is Aztec. He's the animal that I've had the longest at the moment. I've had him for 10 years now. He doesn't really do shows because he's a very one-person animal. He likes me. I'm his safe place. And unfortunately, when we take him out to events, it means I can't take out snakes and other animals to other people. So I need 2 of me if I'm going to take Aztec around. But yeah, Aztec is my baby. He lives with us. and he gets the easy life. Do I watch any other YouTubers in America? I do. I'll get into a couple in a minute. Good luck. Hope we get the subs. G'day from Tennessee. It's got to be what, 11 o'clock over there or something now? G'day Nick. How are you? I'm good, thanks. Snake Catcher Ipswich. I was going to send you a message. I forgot all about it to say that I was coming on. I keep saying I will. Alabama. Any plans for a quoll-based video anytime soon? I have a couple of people who own quolls. I'm really needing access to a hand-raised quoll to do. You guys know the kind of video I do. You know, me, an animal, some facts. So I'm needing access to a hand-raised quoll, and I've got 2 people that have a tame quoll that I could use. Just obviously at the moment, I can't visit them. State borders are closed, and even within the state, we can't travel around. Midnight, don't sleep. I'm usually asleep by 8:30 at night. Is this a Stimson's? Is a Stimson's python a good beginner snake? Yeah, they are. I personally don't like saying this one's a good beginners and that one's not a good beginners. If the snake interests you, with a few exceptions, obviously anything venomous, and in my opinion, anything that grows over 10 feet long, olive scrubbies, not good beginner snakes. But anything less than that, the carpet pythons, the Stimsons, the children's, the spotteds, all those things, they can all make great pets if they're what interests you. If you really have your heart set on a jungle carpet python, but somebody says, oh, they're snappy, and look, they can be, but if you work on him, you'll get him tame. And then you get talked out of it because somebody says, oh, look, a children's python's what you want. You'll probably put less work into the children's than you would have if you had got the jungle. So, yeah, Stimsons are great, small, don't take much space, but there's a lot of other great beginner snakes here in Australia. We'll tackle another couple of comments. Probably pretty savage wild. Yeah. So I've used to have a couple of captive born quolls, but not hand raised, and they're not very easy to film with. All right, so we'll get in a couple of things. So what I said, the topic for today's live stream is other YouTube channels that I watch. You know, everybody over in the States, I imagine you're probably worse than here. We're in isolation, we're watching more TV, we're eating popcorn and putting on weight, I suppose. But it means, we could come out of this fatter than before, fitter than before, or smarter than before. So there is a bunch of great places you can learn about animals. And some of the channels that I watch, and I recommend, and all these ones are ones that I watch. I'm not going to, there's a lot of great channels, but I'm not going to talk about one that I don't personally watch because, you know what, I want to put my money where my mouth is. But I've written them down so I've got them in the right order. But the first one is Dingo Dinkleman. I've already given him a shout out today, but Dingo's actually outside of YouTube, a friend of mine. We met through a couple of videos, but he is a really nice guy, a good friend of mine. He's given us lots of advice and sent people our way. But the biggest reason I like to suggest Dingo is, we've got different presentation styles, but the guy absolutely loves his snakes. His passion for snakes is second for none, and he's got some amazing animals. He's got, I think, all the species of mamba. He's got Russell's vipers and Mangshan vipers, all sorts of stuff. If you're interested in venomous snakes and particularly African wildlife, Dingo is the best guy to go to. Venom Man 20 is another one who's been a personal friend of mine since I started. And actually, when I was umming and ahhing about starting a YouTube channel like 6 years ago, Venom Man 20 was one that I watched. I'm like, oh, geez, if I could get as big as Venom Man 20, it'd be amazing. And then I ended up, becoming friends with him, and we talked snakes a fair bit, and we even did a video for his channel. If you check out Venom Man 20 from maybe a year, 2 years ago, we featured Brutus, one of our red belly black snakes, on his channel. And same thing, very much venomous snake focused. But, we've got a lot of cool venomous snakes here in Australia, but there's a lot of cool venomous snakes in other countries. And Dingo and Venom Man 20, definitely 2 places to check out some other venomous snakes. Venom Man also does a lot of crocodilian stuff. I don't think he's got any on him at the moment, but there's a lot of cool videos with alligators and Morlet's crocodiles and stuff like that. So they're 2 great ones for venomous snakes. The third one is one I imagine you guys all know, and one that we're a supporter of, and that is Kamp Kenan. Everybody knows, well, if you're interested in wildlife and you're on YouTube, you probably know Kamp Kenan, Kenan Harkin. And his videos are great. I like him for a couple of reasons. But the biggest one is just the outdoor keeping. He's so lucky he lives in Florida. But his place is amazing. It's on our place lists to go and visit. If you want to help us visit some cool places, again, Patreon, subscribe, all that sort of stuff will help us get out. Did I get to see him? No. he was going to come to Australia the year before, and he wanted to come and include Victoria and come and visit us. But then the chance to build that big rec pond came up. So basically said, look, we've only got the money to do one or the other. Go to Australia, build the rec pond. So they built the rec pond, which can't blame them, it's amazing. But their second trip to Australia, he only came to New South Wales, and I think he might have gone into Queensland, which is like a 24-hour drive from me. So no, we didn't get to catch up with him, which means my dad is going to come back to Australia anytime soon. So we need to get over to the States, I think, film some tortoises. But he's been a big inspiration for our channel and my move towards keeping stuff outdoors. There's not much to show you at the moment because it is cold and miserable. But our goal is by the time spring comes around here in Western Victoria to move as much stuff as we can outdoors. Our Murray Darlings are moving outdoors. Our diamond pythons are already outdoors. I'd like to get some southwestern carpet pythons and keep them outdoors, and lots of lizards, frogs, things like that. So you know what? Our goal is build a mini Australian Kamp Kenan, but with snakes and lizards. We obviously don't have tortoises in Australia. He also seems like many people don't like bats. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, bats are copping a fair bit at the moment. Two other channels that I'd like to recommend. One is Reptile Mountain. TC Houston from Reptile Mountain is the blue tongue god outside Australia. Joe Ball, obviously here in Australia, is the father of blue tongues. But TC runs an amazing channel, Reptile Mountain TV. He's an AZA, well, an ex-AZA zookeeper, so you know that you're not getting pet tuber type advice. The guy knows what his stuff. He's basically quoting scientific papers, literature, stuff like that. And he's also a supporter of our channel. So, you know, least thing we can do is shout him out. If you don't subscribe to any of these channels, Reptile Mountain, Kamp Kenan, Venom 20 or Dingo, head over to their videos, leave a comment in their description, because the more other YouTubers see us in their descriptions, the more likely they are going to want to collaborate and we can work together and stuff like that. So say thanks to Reptile Mountain TV. And the last one is Wildlife Brothers. I've got you guys written down. I'm going to be doing a video answering your challenge before. Wildlife Brothers, you know, a couple of young guys who put out some great videos on American wildlife. And I think American wildlife outside your reptiles sort of cops the bad end of the stick a little bit, you know? And I think partially because you guys can keep so many amazing exotics over there, that if you watch American YouTubers, all the information is, you know, reticulated pythons and iguanas and tortoises and rhinoceros iguanas. And, you know, there's an amazing stuff that you can show people. But there's not many people showing you, you know, Canada geese and the deer and things like that, which to you guys might not be exciting to some of them. But, you know, Australians look at possums and kangaroos the same way. The rest of the world like that stuff. So, yeah, Wildlife Brothers is the last one. Last of the overseas ones, I should say. I do have two more. Coop's Reptiles and Aussie Reptiles. Two good Australian channels. And Coop actually did a video with us recently. We did a Zoom chat, which I had to figure out. But we did a bit of an interview on his channel. So check out Coop's Reptiles, Aussie Reptiles, Wildlife Brothers, Reptile Mountain, Kamp Kenan, Venom 20 and Dingo Dinkleman. What about Will Nace? Don't watch him. Yeah. I'm sure he's got good videos, but like I said, I've only got so much time to watch videos, and I just didn't want to be, you know, shouting out, suggesting a video that I don't watch myself. I do also have 3 podcasts, though. I don't know, I've mentioned in a few of my live streams, but I don't know how many of you guys know this. I don't sit down and read very well. I'm not somebody who can chew through chapters and chapters of books. I have as many books as any reptile fan, but it's usually because I've got a question, search for the index, find that answer. I'm not much of a reader. I struggle with it a bit. So I churn through podcasts like there's no tomorrow. So the Aussie Wildlife Show, mate of mine, Adrian Sheriff, I was on an episode of one of his podcasts. So you can search for that, say hello to him. He runs Animals Anonymous, another wildlife demonstrator like what we do. Wildlife Cake and Cocktails, they do a lot of cool Australian wildlife. And the Herpetological Highlights. If you're interested in reptiles and you want to know the scientific side, you've got to listen to Herpetological Highlights. These channels, these YouTube channels, these podcasts, a great productive way to spend your isolation. Come out of isolation smarter than when you went in. But we've got some time. We shot through that pretty quickly, and we can get to some comments. If I can fundraise to come to Scotland, stay at ours. I'd love to come to Scotland. I don't imagine you're the reptile capital of the world up there, but you've probably got, much like America, I reckon, you'd have all this wildlife that the locals sort of take for granted. Why do people dislike bats in Australia? I've got an episode coming out on bats and diseases, which I've sort of been a little bit apprehensive to put out because, you know, this whole COVID-19 sort of deal. We'll put Jake away for a second so I can have a bit of a chat with your comments. But yeah, so I've got this episode coming out on bats and diseases. There is 2 major diseases that bats can carry in Australia and give to the public. But the chance of these are incredibly slim. The first one is Hendra Virus, and to get Hendra Virus, you have to catch it from a horse who has to catch it from a bat. And you can vaccinate your horses, but a lot of people don't. You can also fence off trees, so as long as horses aren't grazing under fruiting trees, they're not going to catch Hendra. But people don't do this, so a few horses die from bats, and people don't like it. On top of that, they've moved into cities, and the big problem with bats, which isn't the bat's fault, is as they've lost habitat in Australia, they've converged on particularly botanical gardens. Most of the states, or eastern states at least, have flying fox colonies in their botanical gardens or nearby where they've been pushed out of their botanical gardens. And it's because botanical gardens have a variety of plants, so you've got a unique situation where you've got year-round food in one place. When you take away all the habitat within, you know, a few hundred kilometers of that area, they're going to stick around. So it looks like there's a plague proportion, but really you've got a big population, it's just squeezed in a little space and a whole heap of empty room around. And unfortunately, a lot of people look at this and they start to think that bats are pests. They're in plague numbers, there's millions and millions of them. And in reality, there's meant to be millions and millions of them, and we reckon there's about 1 million flying foxes here in Australia, of the grey-headed flying fox, the most common species on the eastern seaboard. But yeah, people give the poor flying foxes and fruit bats an absolute hammering. I need a lacy or two. I definitely need a lacy or two. I'm back and forthing with Parks and Wildlife about heath monitors at the moment as well, which has always been a no, but the Wildlife Educators Network, which has been put together the last couple of years, but just started to grow in the last few months, they're sort of representing wildlife demonstrators, and hopefully they can help me out a little bit as well with my sort of campaigning. But heath monitors and lace monitors, I'd like a pair of each out there if I could. Yes, please. If I come to the States, we'll have a field day herping. Yeah, if I can get to the States, I will. Dingo is hoping to head to the States when everything opens up, and I doubt we're going to have the funds anytime soon because we've got no shows. So we're using our savings to feed everybody at the moment. But if I could get there the same time as Dingo, it means I can piggyback on a bigger demonstrator, because Dingo is a great guy. He will probably be able to get people to see us that we might not be able to otherwise. And yeah, I'd like to visit a few states and obviously end up down Florida where some of the big, you know, reptile YouTubers are. So Dingo, Kenan are awesome. Tyler, Nolan, Chandler's Wildlife are too. Yeah, so Dingo and Kenan I obviously watch. Tyler Nolan, I enjoy some of his stuff. Chandler's I haven't seen much of myself. But yeah, I do enjoy how much sort of Tyler likes his animals. But yeah, I suppose I can only watch so many people, but there's a lot of good channels out there. What else have we missed? Do I watch Brave Wilderness? No, not really. He's good, but he's sort of, in my opinion, and like he's amazing, he's the biggest animal YouTuber out there, is aimed at a little bit of a different market. I find his stuff, if I was in early high school, I'd be chewing that stuff up. But yeah, I just don't need to watch too much of his stuff at the moment, but he's very good at what he does. He's a benchmark. And he's good, cool channels. Thanks a lot, mate. No worries. Thanks for you know, being a friend and helping us out. Venom Central is another good channel. I'll have to check these out. You guys are going to be using up even more of my time now. I've got all these channels to check out. But I suppose we've gone through the YouTube channels that I you know, want you guys to check out. Like I said, if you do go check them out, leave a comment in their videos saying that Wicked Wildlife sent you. It helps them to realise that, you know, we're all in one team and hopefully we can work out some collaborations with people. But like I was saying at the beginning, my big goal, Dingo Dinkleman came online. Don't know what's happening so far, but stoked to catch you live. You've had a few mentions, mate. My boy from South Africa. I can't do it. Thank you, Serenity. Yeah, Dingo, I had a few, you've mentioned a few times, I'm talking about other YouTube channels, and you know, I was saying as far as venomous snakes goes, there's you, there's Venomman20, who's, you know, over in the States to check out as well. What's the time over there in South Africa? Got to go to work. Start work at 5:30 a.m. I know the feeling. I work full-time on a farm myself, so I do most of my feeding and cleaning in the dark before work. Evan and I have some connections with the wildlife demonstrator community in the Northeast US. If I get to Pennsylvania, Northeast region, can do lots of fun stuff. If I can get to the States, I will. We've filmed almost everything I own. Thank you very much, Serenity. I'm not sure if I said that, but yeah, I'd like to get to the States. It seems if you're going to do wildlife and YouTube, reptiles on YouTube, you need to visit Florida. But obviously it's all up in the air at the moment. You know, our summer here, we don't know if we're going to have all the shows that we might do normally, but the flip side is it's probably a cold time of year over there, so not the best time. So who knows, maybe next summer period over in the States. We all know Tyler Nolan's go-to, Dingo's 100% badass. He sure is. What's the bloke that is down south that handles a red belly black snake and kisses it and all? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. There could be a few people like that. Have I watched Righteous Reptiles? I have. I'm friends with him. I should have gave him a mention as well. He's another cool South African channel. I'm friends with him on Facebook. We've had a few ums and ahs about things we could do together. But he's a very cool kid. Got really cool animals, you know. I wish I was producing videos and stuff when I was his age. When you're first getting into venomous for the first time, what's the most mild-mannered snakes in my opinion? Are you based in Australia? Are you based overseas? Yeah, there's a lot of things to it. And do not take this the right way. Robert's Reptiles, I don't know your background with reptiles. The Snake Man, yeah, that's the one we were thinking. Yeah, so one thing with people's first venomous snakes, I'm always a little bit hesitant to give it this advice because, and this is only a rule of thumb, it's not pointed at you, but I often say if you're asking about your first venomous snake, you're probably not ready to start keeping venomous snakes. But that being said, everybody's got to start somewhere. Here in Australia, my first venomous snakes were tiger snakes, but it's not really what most people would start out with. I went through a phase where I wanted every coloured tiger snake I could get. And when I was 18, I had a lot of them. But red belly blacks, collet snakes, copperheads. The thing is, you're probably wanting an older, like an adult snake that somebody's raised, lost interest in, has to move on. Because if you're getting into it, you don't want to have to force feed anything. Death adders are often talked about. The thing with death adders, and if you're overseas, this is different. You've got a lot of snakes, you know, that are all your vipers. But here in Australia, the thing with death adders, they don't prepare you for much else. They're basically hands off. You handle them differently to you would other snakes. So if you're interested in death adders, great. But if you're saying, look, I want to work up to keeping taipans, keeping a death adder is not going to help you with the same skill set of, you know, hook and tailing and things like that. But the black snakes, all the black snakes are pretty popular as first venomous snakes. But depending what state you're in, there'll be some good reptile keepers. Leave a comment after the live stream and with where you live, and I'll be able to maybe recommend you some people in your state keeping and working with venomous snakes. Dingo, Righteous Reptiles, Critter Keeper, they're all legends. Yeah, no, there's a lot of fantastic reptiles. I was talking to Cooper from Coop's Reptiles the other day, and I was saying, you know, when we were kids, imagine how cool it would have been to have, you know, unlimited sort of amateur documentaries where you can actually type and talk to people. You can get comments and replies. And, you know, we grew up on Steve Irwin, and which was amazing. But to be able to get, you know, 50 different options, you can search it day or night, you'll find a new video. Yeah, I'm a little bit jealous of young kids starting in reptiles today. The flip side is, you know, we've got a lot more regulations. You can't go and just catch stuff and things anymore. Another Floridian, Chandler's Wildlife. I enjoy his videos. Yeah, he's very well recommended. I don't watch him myself. I just haven't, you know, I can't watch everybody. Where do you get your snakes in New South Wales? So all snakes in Australia have to come from other keepers. So, you know, private keepers, zoos, wildlife parks. You've got a couple of herpetological societies in New South Wales, but I can't recall them all off the top of my head. There's a Hawkesbury Herpetological Society. The Australian Herpetological Society is based in New South Wales. So there's a few of them out there as well. It's a crazy smart, man. This community is such amazing. Yeah, it's very, very cool, I think. Yeah, like, and even for us, not as kids, for adults, being able to actually talk to our colleagues and stuff, this was pretty cool. Your mentor has taught you when you start with venomous snakes, start with local in case something happens. Yeah, obviously, I'm assuming you're based in the United States. Here in Australia, we sort of don't have the same problems. In the States, most of you keepers are basically encouraged to keep your own antivenin. Because, if you're in the United States and you're bitten by something, it's live, Arnold. How are you, mate? We're here. Live to you, from our lounge room to yours. But, yeah, so if you're in the United States, you're basically encouraged to keep your own antivenin because you don't want to get bitten by a rhinoceros viper and then have to use the antivenin from the zoo, who then have somebody get bitten and they've given their antivenin to you. So over there, you're basically responsible for yourself. Here in Australia, you can't keep your own antivenin. It's strongly, strongly discouraged. When I was working at zoos, we procured some of our own antivenin for our exotic species, but we kept it at the hospitals. They kept it, they maintained it, and it just meant it was there if we had to go to hospital. So here in Australia, any of our native species are going to be covered by polyvalent. So you still get monovalent, you still get specific antivenin if you can. But if I was in Victoria to take a bite slug, the taipan that we used to use for our videos, she bit her last owner in Ballarat, down here in Victoria, thousands of kilometres away from taipan habitat. But he was treated with polyvalent, universal antivenin, because every hospital will keep the polyvalent here. That being said, when I say universal antivenin, you guys not everybody here is from Australia. Our universal antivenin just treats Australian snakes. If you're bitten by a snake over in India, they're polyvalent. Treats the big four: the Russell's viper, Source-Guard viper, Indian cobra, and common creek. Dingo, if you're still around, you'd have some polyvalence in Africa, I suppose, but they'd be regional or country based or cobra polyvalent. I don't know. Have I been coping with quarantine? Have the animals been keeping me sane, or is the opposite? Yeah, we've been doing all right. Obviously, the lack of work. Yeah, poly for everything except boomslang. So yeah, so the one polyvalent, eh? So, but you guys get what I mean, So there's different polyvalents. Universal antivenin can sometimes be a bit misleading. But yeah, for that reason, if I was in the States and you were going to recommend somebody keeping something, and again, I'm not telling anybody to keep venomous snakes. It's something where if you're working with reptiles and the person who's mentoring you keeps venomous snakes, you can start that way. But it's a pretty serious end of the stick, and a lot of people who want to keep venomous snakes, and if you're the right person for it, I keep venomous snakes. Dingo keeps venomous snakes. It's a great hobby, but a lot of my venomous snakes come from people who weren't prepared to keep venomous snakes. So yeah. So how we've been doing in quarantine. So yeah, like I said, it's been a bit, without our shows, it's been a bit weird. We've got a lot of jobs done around the place. One thing that we are trying to do is provide a bit more enrichment for our animals. The reptiles, they probably really don't care. They're pretty happy to stay in their warm enclosures rather than get hauled out to displays here in our autumn weather. But Boo, the wombat, she's used to being, interacting with thousands of people a week. So she's getting a bit wild by herself. Our possums, things like that, who really need to be handled to stay tame. We're having to invest a bit more time with them. People ask if I have to handle my animals at home to keep them tame, but really, the time I spend on animals at home is usually on the animals who need work. The animals who are tame and doing shows, you guys keep them tame. When I take them out to shows, the public is interacting with them. Why are you ignoring a message? Sorry, mate, I've got a lot of messages popping up. I'll be honest, I'm pulling a cone in my bed. That's why I'm ignoring your message, buddy. Nick, do I believe there are places in Australia with higher density of reptiles than any other? My area is Southwest Vic. Yeah, so Southwest Vic, I'm in Southwest Vic myself. There is definitely places that are like herpetological hotspots. We live in a cold part of the country. We've got limited herpetological diversity, but there's still some cool stuff here. Obviously, if you're, in the Northern Territory, Fog Dam, you can barely drive a lap of Fog Dam south of Darwin without finding reptiles. We did 4 or 5 laps and we found a keelback, 4 or 5 water pythons, a northern snapping turtle, a bunch of things like that, in half an hour. So if you're in the tropics, you've got more species. more species, there's just more of a chance of running into something. But yeah, so down here, it's not like you've got nothing. We're based in Hamilton, and there's not a huge amount of, herping here. But we've only got to go an hour north. You get to Balmoral, Natimak, stuff like that. You've got lace monitors. A little bit further north, you've got sand monitors. You've got eastern bearded dragons. We've got shinglebacks, 20 minutes north of us. You go an hour south, you're at Tower Hill, which is probably more patternless tiger snakes than any other part of the country. You've obviously got a lot of irregular coloured tiger snakes. You've got copperheads, blotch, blue tongues. If you're really interested and you want to flip over an awful lot of rocks and spend a bit extra time, Lake Bolac, you've got the Karangamite water skink, critically endangered. You've got the swamp skink to the western side, down near Portland, Mount Gambier way. So there's reptiles here. It's just not as simple as when I used to live in Queensland. You used to drive on the roads at night time and there'd be pythons sleeping, like sitting on the road trying to warm up. Here you've got to do a little bit more looking. See copperheads everywhere at Tower Hill, but the attitudes of some people walking along, yeah, people don't like snakes, unfortunately, but we don't have any non-venomous snakes. Girls would be happy to come and offer some extra stimulation. I bet they would. Spyro probably doesn't really mind so much, but how are we doing, Karen and the girls? Karen's another one of our Patreon supporters. Her girls, Ruby and Sally, they're probably our first original Patreon supporters. So everybody out there, give a hello to them. But if we've got any more questions, we'll tackle a few more, and then we'll let everybody go. It's getting late for you guys, and if this weather's broken off a bit, I'm maybe going to film a video. We'll see. Where else have I missed anything? What animal reptile would I get if I could have found my first bluey at Tower Hill? Yeah, Tower Hill's an amazing place. I haven't got to spend as much time there as I'd like. It's one of those funny things. When you live somewhere, you keep saying, oh, next weekend I'll get a chance. Next weekend. And when you visit a place, you're like, I'm going there. So, yeah, I've only been to Tower Hill a couple of times, but I do have to get back down there. Once the weather warms up, not much use now. Mate, one Aussie snake catcher said to me it would be illegal for me to interact with a wild snake in Oz. Is that true? Yeah, it's crazy. It's why a lot of people here ask why I don't do more like herping videos. And we need permits to film with animals in the wild. However, it's a bit tricky, like there's a bit of a grey area with like a lot of YouTubers. They take their videos and they say, well, he's on the road. I've picked him up. I've rescued him, picked him up, taken him off the road. And I just took a photo as I was doing it. So there's a lot of grey area. Also, different states have different things. But send us a message, Dingo, and yeah, I'll let you know my opinion on it, sort of thing. Bloody Drongo. Thank you very much, Arnold. So what reptile would I have if I could have anything? It's hard. It's really hard. I used to really tease alligators. When I worked with alligators, I'd just spent a couple of years working with big, like wild-caught saltwater crocodiles. And I was always, oh, gators, there's gators that, they're just big geckos. And now that I don't work with alligators, I'm like, they're pretty cool. I wish I could work with alligators again. But Owen Pally pythons, that'd be pretty cool. I've always wanted to get my hands on the pygmy form of freshwater crocodile. That'd be amazing. I keep a couple of freshies as is, but pygmies would be awesome. Lots of stuff, yeah. There's awesome about iguanas up near the Grampians. I've always wanted to find them. Yeah, they hang around Balmoral from time to time. We're looking at, once the spring comes around, we've got a couple of maps with trails that we're going to go ride on horseback and do a couple of herping on horseback type videos. You guys might or may not know, we got a lot of horses here. We've got 8 at the moment. So yeah, some herping on horseback videos would be cool. We used to do a bit of it, basically just trail riding, and because it's a quiet way of getting around. You're up high, 2.5 meters or something up in the air. You see a lot. So yeah, come spring, summer, we might do some herping on horseback type videos. Catch up with you later, Nick. Thank you, mate. So what vid am I going to film, you mean? I can't give that away. I do actually have to, I've got to answer a challenge. So the Wildlife Brothers, they put out, they nominated me in this reptile lockdown challenge, where we've got to do a short video on a couple of facts on one of our animals, which I'm going to hopefully do this afternoon if I can, and nominate a couple of people. I was thinking of nominating you, Dingo. What my thought was, is, you know, a lot of us guys who are doing videos all the time, it's the same sort of stuff that we already do. So I'm like, we should probably take it as a chance to feature an animal that we maybe take for granted. So I was maybe going to do the blue-tongued skink. We've got a couple of alpine blotched blue tongues who are not brumating underground outdoors at the moment. So I could maybe use one of them. What is the closest call I've had with a venomous snake? I don't know. I've had, you know, like everybody, you've had a few close things. I've had things chew on my jeans, stuff like that. Usually the wild snakes are working in like pits, you know, small areas. But in reality, they look a lot closer than they really are. You know, we're talking Australian snakes, short fangs. I wear Ariat boots under my jeans if I'm going to be working in that sort of environment. But I've been around other people who have been bitten. So I was standing from me to the camera away when a friend was bitten by a taipan, an inland taipan. He spent 11 days on kidney dialysis. So, you know, not close in my point of view, but close in that, you know, I was very close to somebody who could have, I was the person to give him first aid. I've had to give a few other people first aid for snake bites where we've been catching snakes in remote mine sites and stuff. But no, not too many close calls that, you know, are crazy exciting. In our recent video, we talked about free handling venomous snakes, and there's a little clip of Tig, one of our older tiger snakes, who comes back on himself pretty quick. So yeah, that woke me up, but not too much. I love Slug, the inland taipan. Unfortunately, Slug was one of my favourite snakes. Unfortunately, we lost poor Slug in the heat with the bushfires around New Year's, which, yeah, it was pretty devastating. Slug came to us, for those who don't know, she bit her last owner. He needed somewhere for it to go, and she came to us. But yeah, we had a 47-degree day. We had power. We lost power because of the fires. We had nowhere to cool the animals while we were out trying to rescue other animals. So at least he had 2 kidneys. Yeah, he's still got both of them, but from my understanding, I haven't spoken to him for a couple of years, he's got reduced kidney function now, which, yeah, they can do some. There's a lot of, we are really, really good in Australia at avoiding snake bite death. What there is not much information into is what happens after you survive. You know, I've heard some really funny side effects. People bitten by red belly, most of the black snake family, losing sensation of touching their fingertips, or their sense of taste. There's a really reliable record of a Collett's black snake bite, somebody losing their sense of smell for, you know, long term, and even short term memory loss. So there's a lot of ongoing effects that don't get the same research. Hello from the Adriatic Mountains. Where are they? It sounds interesting. Yeah, must do you in. Yeah. So I've never had a venomous snake bite. I'd like to keep it that way. But, you know, there's an awful lot of people. That's why we nominated you. Actually figured extra video might help the bottom line. Send some US subs my way. Yeah, so I'm going to put your challenge in on like a Monday bonus video. So it was going to be tomorrow, but I didn't think I'd get it filmed because the weather was terrible. So this video will basically be in place of tomorrow's video, and you guys will hopefully fit your challenge video in on Monday. But we'll get it out, I promise. The more subs, the better. And US, Australia, South Africa, anybody who's happy to watch me, I'm happy to have watch. Well, what we might do, guys, I think we're unless we've got a few extra comments or questions, we might start to wrap things up there. But I've got to give a thanks to a couple of people. Who are they? Adrian Lane and Serenity Wilson. You guys have both given us super chats. Thank you very, very much. Frightening to think the complications can come from snake envenomation. That's it. You know, you'd know as well as anybody else. Like, I've seen some, a friend of mine, Will, was bitten actually by a death adder. And this is a great example of how well the compression bandage works here in Australia. He had the compression bandage on, got to hospital. He thought it was a dry bite. Like, we were working at the zoo. He was so convinced it was a dry bite, he felt fine. And they started taking the bandage off. And they were trying not to give him antivenin if they didn't have to. Just to, you know, they didn't want to develop any complications or reactions if he needed antivenin later on in life, being a snake keeper at a zoo. And as they took the bandage off, he was fine. It got to his wrist. They took the last piece off, and he spent 2 days in a coma. Like, it's pretty scary stuff, you know. Like, and you guys who aren't, well, we're all into reptiles, but you guys who don't handle venomous snakes, you know, people like me, like Dingo, like, you know, Tyler, Chandler, all these guys, you know, we handle these animals, and there's a part of it that's we've got to be really careful about, you know. Like I've had some people recently say you shouldn't be handling these snakes because it makes people think that they can do the same thing. And I understand it, but I disagree with it. It's kind of like saying we shouldn't watch Formula One racing because it might teach your kids to drag race on the road. You know, you guys are smart enough, but look, some people sort of need to understand that, you know, you're watching a professional. Somebody does this all the time. So it looks maybe a lot easier than it is. There's a lot of reading body language and even just knowing your species, you know. People who work with these animals all the time, if they know what they're doing, they know, you know, this snake can come back X amount of his body. That's how that snake is built. So they know what's safe and what's not. So there's a lot of it that looks a lot more dangerous than it really is if you're experienced. So yeah, it's a tricky thing with venomous snakes. But g'day, mate. We're just wrapping things up, I think, unless we keep things going. But snake bites can be scary. Remember hearing about Jamie getting bitten by a tiger snake? Yeah, Jamie's a classic example, you know. Jamie has given up working with venomous snakes. Jamie's another wildlife demonstrator my way. He was bitten by a tiger snake, and I can tease him a little bit now. He's a friend of mine, and now that we know he's okay, it's all right. But Jamie, I might have to get something in a second. Jamie was bitten by a tiger snake in the armpit, and basically what happened, he'd gone to a snake call out, caught a tiger snake, hooped bag, put it in, went back to his car, and the lady said that she thought there might be another one, and he thought, what's the odds of there being two? So he went, followed her, flipped over the piece of tin, and there's a tiger snake. So he bends down, grabs it, and Jamie, I'm short, but Jamie is shorter than me. He tails the snake and it swings up and bit him in the armpit. And if you don't know how venom works, here in Australia, snake bites travel lymphatically through the basically tissue under your muscles, and it wants to get to your lymph glands, your armpits, your groin, before it gets into your bloodstream. Those lymph glands are in your armpits. So it hit him really fast like a ton of bricks. And then he got to hospital. He had antivenin, and straight away he had an allergic reaction to antivenom, which from all the evidence I can find, all my experience with bites, most allergic reactions to antivenin happen if somebody's had it before. You know, their body remembers it, it goes in a meltdown. But Jamie was allergic to antivenin straight off the bat. And yeah, he's made the decision to give up working with venomous snakes. So it's a serious thing, you know. So, you know, for you guys who have asked about getting into venomous snakes, this is all stuff worth considering. I don't want to discourage you. If it's what you want to do, it's what you want to do. But I'm saying you want to do it properly. It's not something to jump in on. I've got to say thank you to somebody. Somebody's John Delaney. G'day, mate. How are you? Just saw this. I've been meaning to do it. Busy on other things. No, thank you very, very much. You guys are an amazing help. If you can hold on one sec, we'll keep things going. But I've got to get up. The wildest animal that we have here is asking for help. Have I met any of the Irwins or been to Australia Zoo? I haven't. Hang on 1 minute. Here we go. Are you awake? Big huggles. Are you a good baby?
I'm your friend.
You're my friend?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm your friend.
Sorry, little Tack is just woken up. So, but while people are still watching, we'll hang around a bit longer. Can you say hello to everybody? Say hello to everybody. So have we met any of the Irwins? Been to Australia Zoo? No, I haven't met any of the Irwins. Bob Irwin is one of my personal idols. I think, you know, growing up. Say hello, Sally and Ruby are watching. I know it's strange seeing yourself on a camera. But yeah, Bob Irwin's one of my idols. Obviously, I grew up watching Steve Irwin. But one thing that I started as I grew older is you can watch somebody like Steve Irwin and almost go like, oh, I could never do that. The guy was catching crocodiles at, 9 years old, and he grew up at a zoo, and what room is there for me? And then I started learning Bob Irwin's story, and he's sort of become a bit of an idol.
You.
Huh?
You.
With the emu?
Yes.
Yeah, we can go outside later.
It's in the tent.
Oh, no, that's Zazu. Zazu's a peacock. G'day, Isabella. The Wildlife Brothers are saying hi as well. And Sally and Ruby are saying hi. Have a question if I don't mind about the rules. Guests interact with my animals at shows. When we do shows for the company, we work for people who can't come within 2 meters of the display. All our animals within reason. Anything venomous can't be handled.
I can't hear her on there.
You can't hear her. I know. They can hear you though. Say hello. Yeah, so other than anything venomous, pretty much all our animals can be held, handled, patted, depending on the animal. Boo the wombat, obviously she's too heavy to pass around, but everybody gives her a pat and a scratch. If she's, awake, we say if she's asleep, leave her alone. But yeah, we'll go see Boo after this. Do you want me to turn the TV on for you?
I need Spirit on.
You need Spirit on. We love Spirit, don't we? What kind of animal is Spirit?
A horse.
A horse. Yeah, so we're as interactive as possible. But we have a lot more animals than we needed to show so that we can rotate everything across. So one animal might be out for 10 minutes or so, put it away, get somebody else out. We'll pop something on to distract this toddler. Only because you guys keep firing the questions, we'll keep chatting. But the risk you take when you keep such cool animals, that's true. Like we keep a lot of horses and I ride bulls from time to time. So I certainly understand having a risky hobby. But it is what it is. You do what you can to minimise risks. Hello. We'll see if... I can't make this work, sorry. What else have we got before we... So yeah, we might finish things up on there. Isabella wants to go out and say hello to her peacock. But, thank you for watching, everybody. Like I said at the very beginning, we've got those 10 YouTube channels and YouTube channels and podcasts that I liked. What's the necklace pendant I've got? This is a crocodile tooth. It comes from a female crocodile called Dame Edna from Billabong Sanctuary in Townsville, where I did my basically apprenticeship. And, we were doing shows one day. We have a safety stick, which is basically an axe handle. And one day I tripped over in an enclosure when I was 18. And the spotter had to stick the stick in the way. She grabbed the stick and the tooth was stuck in there. So funny thing is, I had to buy a crocodile tooth necklace to pull the old tooth out. You can always tell they've got the skinny, like perfect white teeth, which is why you can tell this one's not the one that comes with the necklace. I had to pull that tooth out to put this tooth in.
These come from top and the
They do come from crocodiles. What do crocodiles do? Do crocodiles say moo? They go snap, that's right. What do snakes say?
I don't like snakes.
You don't like snakes. You don't touch snakes when Dad's not home, do you? No, that's right. What do you like? What's your favourite animal?
A wombat.
A wombat. We love wombats. All right, guys. So like I said, if you haven't already, please check out those YouTube channels. What are they? Wildlife Brothers.
I like snakes.
Daddy likes snakes. So yeah, we'll get you all to check out Dingo Dinkleman, Vanman 20, Kamp Kenan, Reptile Mountain TV, Wildlife Brothers, Coops Reptiles, and Aussie Reptiles, and the podcast, Aussie Wildlife Show, Wildlife Cake and Cocktails, and Herpetological Highlights. If you can check those out, leave a comment on their pages, tell them Nick from Wicked Wildlife sent you. They all do amazing work, and it could keep everybody entertained and learning during quarantine. But I'll finish things up on there. If you do want to help us continue on our educational crusade, get out and visit some of these people. I'd like to go visit Dingo. Dingo's invited us over there to check out some amazing animals. But yeah, if you want to help that out, subscribe to our page. Dingo, not our Dingo. Dingo, my friend Dingo, not Aztec the Dingo. It's very confusing. So yeah, if you want to help us out, subscribe to our YouTube channel or share us around. Help us get to 10,000 before my birthday, because we're on track to miss it by about 2 weeks, which I'm not going to complain about. It'll still be pretty cool. But, be good. 10,000 subscribers by my 30th birthday. Yeah, I know, Dingo. And yeah, if you really want to help out, check us on Patreon. Thank you very much, Australia Wild.
Really big dog.
Yeah, dingoes are like a dog. We'll go see him in a minute. We'll see Zazu and we'll see Aztec the Dingo. So yeah, thank you everybody. Keep safe, stay in touch, watch our videos, and everybody stay happy, healthy during this quarantine. Be nice to wildlife. Have a good one and take care. So bye.